Good morning. I'd like to call to order the Rules and Operations Committee for March 31st, 2025. The time is 10 a.m. If the clerk could please call the roll.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Councilmember Herrera.
Here.
Councilmember Denson.
Excused.
Councilmember Ayala. Here. Councilmember Hitchen.
Here.
You have 3 members present.
With 3 members present, we do have a quorum. First item is approving the agenda. Is there any changes to the agenda? Seeing none, we'll consider the agenda approved. We also have minutes from March 24th, 2025. Were there any changes or corrections? Seeing none, we will consider the minutes for March 24th, 2025 approved as presented. That brings us to item number 5, which is approving the meeting schedule for next week. Ms. Long.
Thank you and good morning. This is your meeting schedule for April 7th through the 11th. On Monday, April 7th, beginning at 10 a.m., you have your Rules and Operations Committee meeting. You'll be approving the meeting schedule for the week of April 14th through the 18th and the council agenda for April 15th. There's one proposal on that day's agenda, and it's 2025-509. This is amending previously adopted ordinances and adopting new voting precinct boundary maps. This is for referral to rules, and the council final action date is April 15th. Actually, we don't need that referral because it's already on the rules agenda. At 11 a.m. is your Monday study session. You'll be reviewing the April 8th council agenda. And then you do have 3 grants to review that day. They are all 2025 National Highway System Management Program grants. The first is 160th Street East. The second is 72nd Street East. And the third is Canyon Road East. And so those will be on your agenda the following day. You'll be reviewing committee agendas for the week and administrative items and other items. At 1:30, you have a Community Development and Environment Committee meeting. There's one proposal on that agenda for consideration, and that's 2025-508. This is amending Titles 1, 2, and 8, and Chapters 1304 and 18C10. These are for updates. And they are all non-development regulation code provisions. So this has an April 22nd final hearing date. On Tuesday, April 8th, beginning at 9:30, you have an Economic and Infrastructure Development Committee meeting. There are 2 proposals for consideration on this agenda. The first is R 2025-129, and that is initiating an evaluation of 96th Street East from SR 162 to the Puyallup River Bridge for potential reduction of the speed limit and the implementation of traffic calming measures, and making requests from the county engineer and setting a report back date to the council. This has an April 22nd final date as well. Next on that agenda is R 2025-132, and this is relating to traffic safety, adopting Pierce County Vision Zero Action Plan. This has an April 29th final hearing date. At noon on Tuesday is your regular Tuesday study session. Nothing other than the usual items that I'm aware of at this time. And at 3 p.m. is your regular council meeting. Also note that on Wednesday, April 9th, beginning at 5:30, you do have a special evening council meeting. This is your District 6 council meeting at the McGavitt Conference Center in Lakewood. And that is your meeting scheduled for April 7th through the 11th.
Thank you, Ms. Long. Are there any questions about the meeting schedule? Seeing none. Vice Chair Herrera for a motion.
Chair, I move to approve the meeting schedule for a week of April 7th through 11th.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the meeting schedule as presented for the week of April 7th through the 11th, 2025. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And that brings us to item number 6, which is approval of council agendas. There's 2 of them this time, for April 8th and April 9th. Ms. Long.
All right, thank you. So this is your regular council meeting agenda for April 8th. We'll start with your consent agenda. You do have 2 resolutions for final action there, and the first is R 2025-131. This is confirming the appointment of a new member to the Commission on Refugee and Immigrant Affairs. Next is R 2025-135, and this is confirming the appointment of 2 new members and the reappointment of 2 members to the Pierce County Tourism Promotion Area Hotel Commission. And then you'll see those 3 grants listed there, again, pending discussion at the previous day's Monday's study session. Moving to Section 7, you have 1 proclamation, and that is a proclamation of the council and executive proclaiming April 7th through the 13th as Food Waste Prevention Week in Pierce County, and that was requested by Councilmember Morrell. Moving to Section 8, resolutions, you have 4 items here. The first is R 2025-112, and that's approving the 2025 Pierce County Historic Preservation Grant Fund disbursement as recommended by the Landmarks Commission. And that is for final. That received a due pass recommendation at EIDC on March 25th. Number 2 is R 2025-124. This is approving additional positions in the Aging and Disability Resources Division of the Human Services Department. This will be heard this morning in rules, and we'll add the recommendation to your agenda. Next up is R 2025-130, and this is confirming Julie DeMuth as the Director of the Finance Department. This will also be heard this morning in rules, and we'll add that recommendation. And finally, you have R 2025-133. This is setting the date of an evening District Number 1 council meeting. That will be April 28th, beginning at 6:30 at Crystal Mountain. And that will be for final. Those are your agenda items for your regular meeting on April 8th. Want me to roll right into the next one? Or do you want to approve this?
Yes, let's go ahead and do that.
Okay. So this is the council agenda for your special meeting on April 9th. This is beginning at 5:30. This is the council District Number 6 meeting at the Clover Park Technical College McGavick Conference Center in Lakewood. You have no consent items on this agenda. We'll move to Section 7, and there is 1 proclamation. That is a proclamation of the council and executive designating April 7th through the 13th as National Public Health Week in Pierce County. And that was requested by council members Hitchin, Ayala, Denson, and Yambe. There are no resolutions or ordinances. So following community forum, you'll jump into other business, and you have a welcome with, it looks like we don't have a presenter listed yet there.
We have
Working on
2 we are working on.
Okay, we'll fill that in when it becomes available. Next up is the healthcare workforce development, and that will be with Clover Park Technical College School of Nursing. The dean of that college, that's Tiffany Smith-Fromm. The third item is COVID-19 Pierce County overview. That will be with the health department, Nigel Turner. Next is the Washington State Public Health Advisory Board, Department of Health, and that will be by the Washington State Health Advisory Board, Alice Fong and Dr. William Hirota. And then finally, you have the HIV/AIDS testing, and that will be presented by the Health Department. Number of folks there, I think they are all Health Department folks listed there for that presentation. And those are your agenda items for the special meeting on April 9th.
Thank you. Are there any questions about either of these agendas?
Excuse me? Back on the agenda for the 8th, I did see a typo on the 2 appointments. Item B, it should read R 2025-134. And I'll make that correction.
So 135 is actually 134?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any questions on the agendas? Not seeing any. So Vice Chair Herrera for a motion, and you can either do these separately or do them together.
Chair, I'll do them together. So I move to approve the council agendas for the corrected April 8th, 2025 and April 9th, 2025.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the council agendas for April 8th with the item fixed, so it's the correct number, which was 134, R 2025, 134, and the April 9th agenda. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, team, for getting these as close to perfect as we can. That brings us to item number 7, which is ordinance 2025-507. Can the clerk please read?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Proposal is O 2025-507, an ordinance of the Pierce County Council adopting a new Chapter 2.113 of the Pierce County Code Community Needs Grant Program.
Thank you. And we're going to go to Mr. Boki for an introduction.
Thank you, Chair Hitchin, Paul Boki, Council staff. This ordinance proposes to establish a community needs grant program by adopting a new Chapter 2.113 of the Pierce County Code. The program is designed to provide a clear and efficient mechanism for Pierce County to distribute funds to support community-driven initiatives. With a biennial funding cap of $5 million, the program maximizes its impact by setting priorities while ensuring accountability and efficiency in fund disbursement. The $5 million cap is proposed to be distributed as follows. Up to $3 million is split between the executive, $375,000, and the council, $2,625,000, and up to $2 million for capital projects and property acquisitions. Funding recipients must be nonprofit organizations or public entities that are located or do business in Pierce County. The new chapter states the allowable purposes that funds from this program may be used. They include housing affordability and supply, homelessness and stable housing, public safety, behavioral health, youth and young adults, economy and workforce, infrastructure needs, sustainability, and other council priorities made by resolution. And then you can see that in paragraph F of Exhibit A for all of the allowable uses. Funding for each recipient may not exceed $75,000 in a year or $150,000 over a biennium. Paragraph H of the new chapter specifically exempts the funding distributed through the Community Needs Grant Program from the requirements of Pierce County Code Chapter 2.106 purchasing. This means that the allocations may be made directly to the recipients. So I'll just leave it at that, and we do have some individuals to speak to that. Ms. Julie Murray from the Executive's Office and Ms. Julie DeMuth from the Finance Department.
The dueling Julies.
Questions? The two Julies, yes.
Ms. Murray.
Good morning, Julie Murray, Executive Council. So I'm going to go back a little bit to the history for the benefit of new members and the public of why this is before you. So it had been a fairly common practice for both the executive and the legislative branch to do direct appropriations to organizations, local governments, and others for particular projects or services in the budget. And coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic, where the procurement rules were generally lifted in large part in terms of how both the state, local distributed funds, the executive at that time requested an opinion from our deputy prosecuting attorneys about whether or not the practice of doing those direct appropriations could continue. Because there was a general review happening about how we were doing procurement and doing training and other activities as we kind of the restrictions were reimposed. And so in about July of 2023, the deputy prosecuting attorneys came back and noted that something very particular to Pierce County, that Pierce County's charter requires competition with the procurement of goods and services, materials, and other matters. And that is something very unique to Pierce County, our charter. There is no state law requirements with respect to the purchase of services. There's wide variation amongst jurisdictions as to the limits and what they have and how they actually procure. But knowing that we, as I'd like to describe our charter as being sort of our county constitution, we are required to do competitive procurements, and that required us to follow the county code's procurement code. And at that time, we had very low limits. Direct appropriations were limited to $5,000. And then thereafter, there was limited competition up to about $50,000, and then thereafter, a full-blown competitive procurement. Most people know that as like a request for proposals or notice of funding availability. And so that really changed the practice that happened both at council and the executive, limiting those direct appropriations to kind of that direct buy limit of $5,000. So the council in 2023 raised those limits. It had been quite a while since those limits had been reviewed reviewed, most jurisdictions had a 25,000 direct, purchase limit. And so those changed, I believe it was 25,000, 75,000, 150. So we have now a different code, and consistent with that, this proposal, the Community Needs Fund program, was also put forward. And this was a conversation that we were having with the deputy prosecuting attorneys about what alternatives existed. And so if you really think about procurement in the three largest buckets, there's kind of, purchases, and there's grants, and there's cooperative agreements. And in terms of purchases, that's what our county code describes. And it's actually purchasing a service that we want someone else to perform for the county. A grant is generally giving a financial contribution to somebody else's desires, the deliverable to that other entity. And then cooperative agreements, and you hear about those as ILAs, MOUs, otherwise, is that we have a joint desire to have and maybe both pool our finances for a joint deliverable. And so we were told, and I believe this would be, it's true today, is that we do not have within our code, though, a structure to do grants. It's not that they're prohibited. It's that we did not have a framework for how we would do that within our code, which is why we were stuck with trying to horn these types of distributions into our kind of procurement code. And so what Community Needs is trying to do is create that framework in the code to say this is how we will do grants, and it would apply to both the legislative branch and the executive branch. And we do just set a larger limit because it's actually $24.99 applies to those direct purchases. That is a limit for the biennium. So one of the differences you have here is a higher limit of $75,000 for a fiscal year, $150 for the biennium. So that gives you greater flexibility. This proposal, what is also new to it, was not proposed in 2023, is providing a pool of funds for capital projects. And it's not intended to be an open call for projects. Usually we have both, they come to the legislative branch, they come to the executive branch where they have a project, it is underway, and there's some problem, like either costs have increased, the scope of work has gotten larger, maybe they've lost a funding partner, and so this is enabling a pool to provide grants for capital purchases, but recognizing that there's three factors in the ordinance. One, that it has to be completed within that biennium, that you're providing that contribution, that there are other fund sources there, so there's probably been some other competition that person or that entity has engaged in, and that it will enable the completion of the project. So that they're, again, going back to maybe projects that have a problem and can't cross the finish line. And we want to be a contributor as the county into that project. These are for Pierce County activities, services that nonprofits, local governments, and others are doing on behalf for our county residents, and likewise those projects would need to be within Pierce County. So again, this proposal before you sort of creates that framework for us to do grants, to pull that out of our procurement code and to give you some more flexibility as to the dollar amount, so when you're doing budgeting. But it is an extra layer. It's not going to prevent you from doing the $24.99 or belows. That to me was that is something available to both branches now, and we're not trying to take that away, but this would supplement that. There's one issue that I guess I need to talk to the staff about to make sure that the drafting is correct, is that the 75 and the 150 limit was only intended to apply to that service bucket, not to the capital programs. We want those to be able to have a higher amount, and because I think most projects that have come to us have been about in the range of like $500,000. So if we need to do some sort of clarification to make sure that we're all clear on that, but that was intended to be a bucket for which you can decide the size and not be constrained by the 75 and 150. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you for the look back and the overview. Are there questions? Vice Chair Herrera.
Hey, Chair, I've got a bunch of questions, but I guess I think you talked about there was no state law that limits counties, I guess, in like this, doing direct payments. But is there anything in the state constitution that talks about the direct payments? And how does that drive the county if there is?
I mean, there's only one that I could think of, and that's the gift of public funds. And so all of these projects have to have a public purpose, and we have to be able to demonstrate that there's value accruing, for the public for that. And then there are exceptions to the gift of public funds. One of them is like transfers amongst local governments, contributions for the poor and infirm, or fundamental, what they consider to be fundamental activities of government, like healthcare or education. So, I would say the most broadest in our state constitution is we cannot be using our money to finance private activity. So we couldn't be using it to help the wages with a private firm or to purchase something on their behalf. But that is probably the only limit that I'm aware of.
Okay, thank you. I got a series of them, but so talking about the county charter, and I think you touched on it a little bit, that we're unique in other counties. I'm guessing there's a reason why it was in there historically on the county, or is it just something that was missed 10 years ago when they wrote the charter, or has it been in many charters over the years? Or do we
I believe it was in its original, the original form of our charter.
Okay, so that hasn't changed on any of that. So, and the question on this is, as an elected official, we have the right to ask for anything for any type of project. Does this limit that at all?
Well, I mean, I guess in a sense, you don't have that authority per our charter. You actually, it's either you're going to, if we're purchasing services, it has to go through some competitive procurement, or you need to do the $24.99 limit. With respect to this proposal, I mean, there are requirements as to the type of proposal, we described for public safety, for infrastructure. You will still be required to show the public purpose for that. It's not just we're giving money, that there has to be some sort of value that accrues for the public from the public funds. You're also still limited in dollar amount to 75 and 150, and you're also limited to nonprofits and local government. So it's not for private firms.
Okay, thank you. So how will the 5 million total and the split between the capital and other funds, how will that be determined, or that process?
That's your process to do. This is, it'll be something proposed, I assume, in the executive's budget, and then whether you can spend $1, you can spend $5 million. It is just a ceiling, it's not the floor. So you will decide for yourselves what appetite you have for spending for this program. It just creates within the framework here a ceiling, so it won't be 10 million, but you could decide this year that you're going to spend zero on this program.
So it is a ceiling. So what if we exceeded, I guess, the 5 million?
You have to, I guess, address your conscience in that way. And I would say, I would just note, in all appropriations are the maximum to spend. And so if you decided to, ignore the statute, I mean, maybe there would be some power within the executive to, constrain down that amount, either pro rata or by project.
And so next question is from the accounting standpoint. I don't know if you can answer this one, but I guess this will be from the general fund, I'm guessing?
That, again, is your choice. It is neutral in terms of the bill as to fund source. So, for example, with the capital funds, you could use Maureen Howard money. You could decide to use, if there were projects that met the conditions for behavioral health funding. It's a total dollar amount. It's agnostic to fund source.
Okay, so it's not really in the, I don't know, is it going to be in the MCE expenses? Because I think that's how it's set up now. Or will it be on its own line item in the general fund? Or I guess...
I mean, we'll make a proposal in the executive's budget, and, choose I believe it'll show up as its own program, where those direct appropriations will happen, but I can't say to you now what the fund source would be, whether that would be MCE or other funds. And then when it's brought to you, ultimately, this legislative body is going to decide how this program is used.
Okay. I got some more questions. Thanks for answering. So is it anticipated that the $2 million for capital purposes will be for the council to allocate, or will the executive kind of be making those proposals?
In both instances, I think that there will be an executive proposal put forward, and ultimately the budget that's passed is the one that this legislative body does. So it's obviously subject to your amendment.
On the proposal, I think there's a bunch of sub-paragraphs like A through H with a bunch of detailed stuff, and it's pretty prescriptive and a lot of details. But with those details, they leave some things out, like our senior centers, the arts program. I don't know, was that intentional, or would we just be better off just getting rid of A through H, being so descriptive, which may limit to what we may use it? I don't know.
I mean, I don't think that those were excluded. I think that we would probably believe that they are within those categories. If you feel that there needs to be additional categories, this proposal's before you for amendment. I think if you were to remove those items, then we would have then a discussion on each one as to what is the particular public purpose for this. Those were all intended to be a constraint so that you are staying within the framework of public value for these monies.
All right. Paragraph G on agreements states funding must be distributed pursuant to a written grant agreement. Is a grant agreement the same as a contract?
There could be provisions that are particular, because again, we're not asking for a deliverable to the county. So sometimes in a contract, you're asking that deliverable be happening by a certain date or in a certain form. Grants are more relaxed in the sense of that is the recipient's responsibility to determine, unless, again, depends on how prescriptive you are in terms of your appropriation to them. So for example, let's use like the Alchemy Skate Club that came up. We could say it's for Alchemy Skate Club for educational purposes, and they can determine within, their set of programs which, educational program they want to devote it to. Or you could say it is, be more restrictive to say it is for a program within the Tacoma School District, right? So, you can direct it a little bit more, but at the end of the day, I think the functional difference between a contract and a grant is that you want the deliverable to happen. You don't necessarily describe how it's going to happen, and it's not coming back directly to the county. So there's going to be provisions that I would suspect aren't in there as to, what date we want to have it happen, what department they're working with. It's going to be much more relaxed to the recipient as to sort of how that money is used. But there'll still be standard terms and conditions that we have, and that's also in the legislation, where I suspect we still are going to use a reimbursement process here to make sure that the deliverable is being met. We will have our standard language about, this is subject to appropriation. If we were to have a funding shortfall, we may pull this money back. There will still be a lot of commonality, but again, we're not purchasing this to be delivered back to the county proper, Pierce County. And so I would suspect that those are the types of provisions that we require now that we would not necessarily have.
Okay. One more.
One more.
This is on paragraph H in this proposal, chapter 2.106 of the code on purchasing does not apply to funding distributed to this chapter. Can you explain the benefit of this exemption on that?
Well,
Why
it's
is
because
there-
you are creating within this a different framework. We're saying this is not within our general procurement code. So the number one difference is going to be those dollar limitations, right? Today, you're limited to $24.99. If we were to say that the purchasing code existed, coexisted, that both had to be adhered to, you're basically at $24.99. You're doing the purchasing code. The same thing is, as you go to the higher amounts, requiring there to be, advertisement and competition. This is not intended to be that. This is intended for you to make those choices yourself, subject to the limitations of the bill. So you do have to disconnect. And the reason that you can have this difference is because this is a grant program where you are making financial contributions to the aims of others versus purchasing something to be returned to the county itself.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
allowing me.
Committee Member Ayala.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you so much for bringing essentially what I'm interpreting as a system that meets the community needs that we previously did not have the system for. I know that I've been encountering a lot of specifically nonprofits that do work that are unable to do their work because of funding restrictions and or the amount of time it takes for us to go through a procurement process when in reality they're having to deal with emergency situations that require more of a speedy process. I have two particular questions related to this. Correct me if I'm wrong. Am I interpreting this as the council as a whole has a dollar amount that then we need to determine how that is dispersed amongst all districts?
Right, it's a maximum, and so it's a maximum of the council proper, and how you determine how that spread is for your budget deliberations. The only difference is that there is, in a sense, like a carve out for the exec that unfunding those don't necessarily increase your pot, but you can continue, and that there is no carve out for the exec on the capital program. So you're going to decide ultimately the use of these funds.
Got it. And then I think that may answer my second question around limitations that we as council members may put on the restrictions that we allocate. So it could be that, each one of us may have different restrictions put forward based on who we are, the people that we're gifting.
Right, it is, like I said, it only creates sort of the maximum, but how you decide to use that here is it's kind of that maximum flexibility, subject to that ultimate ceiling of dollars.
Got it. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for the questions. And I have a question to ask, and happy to get it later. I just want to make sure that with these funding caps that are in here, they do not impact the overall funding that an organization might get from the county. I'm going to use Franklin Pierce School District, who gets violence prevention dollars, has gotten this program when we had the cap, they got multiple allocations, sometimes from multiple committee members or council members. This is just a cap for the community needs fund. The 150,000 cap is only one. So I just want to make sure that the way this is written, that there isn't an impact there. If I or we decided to allocate an organization through this program, but they happen to also get violence prevention dollars, do we have an issue? So,
I don't think so, but we'll go back and I can talk to Julie DeMuth because it is its own program, right? And so if they were to receive an award for a competitive program, that's one item. If they're getting violence prevention, that's its own. I think we'll get back to you, but it intended to be its own animal.
Okay, thank you. That was my interpretation, but I am not a lawyer, so I always want to make sure that I've asked people that do this regularly. So, any further questions? Okay. Seeing none, I'm going to open this up to a public hearing. And so if anyone would like to address the committee on ordinance 2025-507, please come to the podium. Don't really have members of the public in here, so we will go online.
Yes, Madam Chair. For any members of the public wish to provide comment on proposal number L2025-507, press the raise hand icon in Zoom or *9 on your telephone keypad. And there are no hands, Madam Chair.
With no hands raised, we'll bring it back before the committee. Are there any further comments? I do have a comment before a motion, Vice Chair Herrera, just if that's what you were saying.
Oh, comment, yes.
Okay.
Just I can see that there's going to be some amendments to this, and at least that's what I've heard. So, I just got a few concerns on this one, and I would look to possibly move this forward without any recommendation, if I could make a motion on that.
Okay. I'll come back to make sure that anybody else who wanted to say anything. Committee member Ayala, any comments before I just don't like stepping in front of people.
Sorry, yeah.
Okay. My only comment is I just really appreciate the guardrails that have been put around this program and remind us as a body and even the executive, we don't have a magical $5 million sitting out to put into this fund, but this just creates a way for us to do some of the things that were happening prior to COVID and some of the things that happened during COVID. And we are just trying to create a system so that we are consistent, that it's transparent. And it's not that it wasn't transparent before, but it was just, it just happened. I don't know exactly how it worked. So, and when we started asking questions about how to continue this after COVID, that's when this came up as being an issue. So this is a solution that allows us to do some of those more nimble things with community orgs that are doing good work or respond to an emergency in our county that right now would be really complex or complicated or flat out would be a no, because we don't have the systems in place. And this creates those systems. Again, there's not a magical pot of money. I wish there was. But if we did have some funding right now, the limitations make it really challenging to work with some of our community orgs. So I appreciate this coming forward once more, and looking forward to this moving to the full council. So those are my comments. Vice Chair Herrera, if you have a motion.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to make a motion to move it to the full council without recommendation.
It's been moved and seconded that we forward O-2025-507 to the full council without recommendation. Any further conversation? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. That brings us to item 8, which is R 2025-124. Can the clerk please read?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Proposal number R 2025-124, a resolution of the Pierce County Council approving additional positions in the Aging and Disability Resources Division of the Human Services Department.
Thank you. Mr. Boki to brief.
Thank you, Chair Hitchin, Paul Boki, Council staff. Section 14 of the biennial budget states that no department may employ or authorize the employment of personnel beyond the designated number without prior approval by the county council through a resolution or ordinance. As a result of the growing Medicaid caseload, the Aging and Long-Term Care Division of the Pierce County Human Services is requesting the approval of 5 additional positions to meet the staffing requirements outlined in the Title 19 Medicaid grant. These positions are necessary beyond what was originally budgeted to comply with the terms of the Title 19 Medicaid award and to ensure that services to low-income seniors are not compromised. These positions are Case Manager Supervisor 1 and 4 Case Manager positions. The Aging and Disability Resources Division serves as the designated area agency on aging for Pierce County. The ADR division has been awarded Title 19 Medicaid funding, a grant designed to provide essential services to low-income seniors within the county. The funding was accepted in July 2024 and is incorporated in the 2024-25 biennial budget. The ADR division is currently experiencing a growing Medicaid client caseload, and the Title 19 Medicaid funding has a staffing formula linked to caseload growth. To ensure compliance with the requirements of the grant and maintain the level of service necessary, the division is asking for this increase in staffing. The caseload requirement is no higher than 75 full-time equivalents per 75 cases per full-time equivalent employee. The current caseload is 6,320 with 91 caseload manager FTEs for a rate of 69.4 per FTE. The projected 2025 year-end caseload is 6,782 or 74.5 FTEs. This is 400 cases greater than the originally projected. The caseloads, so that sounds okay, like we're okay for the rest of the year, but and the human services folks can speak to this in more detail. The caseloads are complicated by the need for some case managers to carry a smaller caseload because they work with complex cases. 7 case managers currently working with an average of 5 complex cases, and 5 case managers carry half caseloads. So this is also needed. They also need additional people to absorb staff turnover and still need to stay within caseload limitations. So these are funded out of the grant. So there's no other county money involved. There's no general fund money involved, and they're not getting money out of any other funds. But there is some math involved in here, and the department is attempting to stay within those caseload standards. So we have here to speak Ms. Helen McGovern, the acting director of the Human Services Department, and Mr. Aaron Van Valkenburg from our Human Services Department. So if you have any questions.
Either of you like to come to the podium? Thank you for being here.
Yes, good morning. Aaron Van Valkenburg, staff within the Human Services Department. I think the staff report is accurate. That's the situation that we're experiencing. This is really around caseload growth. When we projected the budget, when we originally built our biennial budget, that was based on a caseload projection with the best data that we had at the time. New data shows us that we're going to be about 400 plus clients higher than we originally projected. And so to keep pace with that ratio and the staffing requirements, we're asking for this additional hiring flexibility.
Thank you. I'll look to my colleagues to see if there's questions. Committee member or Vice Chair Herrera.
Thank you. Just had a quick question. So this was a surprise or did we kind of see it trending that way? And is this going to be the end of it, or is it trending even more?
Yeah, great question. The trend is continuing this way. And we saw this trend increasing. It's just increasing a little sharper than we even originally projected. So yes, I think this trend continues.
So what's the trend? What's spurring the trend? Just more education about that, or just?
Maybe a little bit of both, but I think the primary issue is just the driver and the changing demographic within our country and within Pierce County, where we have more older adults and adults with disabilities than we've ever served before. And certainly not everybody that's an older adult will need our services. I don't mean to imply that, but with the growing number, we are seeing a continual increase in that caseload that we're serving.
And Vice Chair, we are going to spend a whole lot of time tomorrow in Health and Human Services talking about the
We are, yes.
population of seniors in our county. So,
Okay, thank you.
But I don't want to cut you off. I just wanted you to know that we're going to do a deep
More to
dive.
come.
More to come. Okay. Committee Member Ayala.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate the forecast around this and also the consideration for how heavy some of these caseloads might be, unrelated to actual number. Could you give just a couple of examples of what a heavy caseload looks like, or what may warrant someone taking less folks in their caseload?
Yeah, certainly. Within our case management program, primarily with the staff are case managers, we also have 7 RN case managers, and so their role is a little bit different, and so we assign to them clients who are medically and clinically complex, and so they would have a caseload probably in the range of like 5 clients, maybe 7, and they then provide consultation to the case managers for things that may arise on other cases that they're serving. So their role is a little bit different. So their caseloads are much smaller. And then we also have 5 lead positions where they do specialized support for other staff, and in exchange for that, they carry a half caseload. So those 2 examples between the nurse case managers and the lead case managers are examples where they have a much lower caseload.
Thank you.
Thank you for the questions. Not seeing any other questions, so I have one. Is this funding in that pot of money that was discussed at the federal level about being cut?
In terms of just overall Medicaid reductions, I think the answer has to be yes at some level, although we have no specific data on what that would mean for us in particular. And I guess I would say too is that if Medicaid is decreased overall, I don't know that that would necessarily mean that the long-term service and support component of that of Medicaid would be reduced. So,
Okay, thank you. Just always aware of that these days.
yeah.
Okay. Mr. Boki.
Yeah, I just thought I would add, just in support, I mean, Open Pierce County does have information on caseloads and whatnot. And, you know, I look back on it, and in January of 2020, the caseload was less than 5,500. And in January of last year, it was 5,869. So you've added, 450 cases in the last year, which is, well in excess of population growth, right? As you saying, the aging population. So if they're talking, almost 6,800 cases by the end of this year, I mean, you're pretty rapidly adding cases. It's a pretty strong increase even on a monthly basis. So this is a challenge going forward. Good luck finding enough people to do all this work. So
I wish them luck, and they're necessary. So, okay. Well, seeing no other comments, I am going to open this up for a public hearing. If anyone would like to address the committee on R 2025-124, there's no member of the public in chambers, so we will go online.
Yes, Madam Chair. For any members of the public who wish to provide comments on proposal number R 2025-124, press the raise hand icon on Zoom or star 9 on your telephone keypad. And there are no hands, Madam Chair.
With no hands raised, we'll close public comment, bring it back to the committee. Any further comments? Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move proposal number R 2025-124 to be moved to the full council to do pass.
It's been moved and seconded that we move R 2025-124 to the full council with the due pass recommendation. Any further comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We will move this to the full council. That brings us to item number 9, which is proposal R 2025-130. If the clerk could please read.
Yes, thank you. Proposal number R 2025-130, a resolution of the Pierce County Council confirming Julie DeMuth as the Director of the Finance Department.
Thank you. And we're going to go to Ms. Long to introduce.
Thank you and good morning. So the resolution before you confirms the executive's appointment of Julie DeMuth as Director of the Finance Department. As background, the Pierce County Charter provides that except for those positions filled by election, the executive shall appoint the chief officer of each executive department, and the appointments by the executive shall be subject to confirmation by a majority of the council. The Finance Department was created by ordinance, and its functions and duties are codified at Chapter 2.06 of the Code. And the required qualifications for the Director of the Finance Department are also codified at Chapter 2.07. The general qualifications for all directors are at 010, and those specific to the Finance Director are at subsection 010E, and I have listed those in my staff report for you. The Council's Rules of Procedure at Section 128-175 of the Code provide the procedures for confirming appointments of chief officers of executive departments. And you'll become very familiar with these over the next month or so, I think. And those rules provide that every appointment by the executive of a chief officer of an executive department shall be in the form of a resolution and shall be reviewed by the appropriate standing committee. So the Finance Department appointment is before you today as the Rules Committee. The code further provides that the committee may require each appointee referred to it for consideration to complete a standard questionnaire to be used to ascertain the appointee's general background and qualifications. And that questionnaire is also contained in the code. I don't know that I saw that in the materials, but there is a lot of equivalent information submitted by the appointee for your review in your materials. Any hearing on the executive appointment shall be in a meeting open to the public. That is in your code. And the executive has appointed Julie DeMuth as the director of the finance department, and it is subject to confirmation by the council. The council final action date is April 8th on this. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And with that, we'll bring Ms. DeMuth up to the podium. And good morning.
Morning, Madam Chair, council members.
I think we know you, but we'll give you a minute if you'd like to just introduce yourself formally, and then we'll open it up to see which questions. And I'll just remind everybody, be nice. So.
Thank you. My name's Julie DeMuth. I have been with the county for about 12 years now, all within the finance department. I've held a number of different roles, primarily focused on budget development and administration. Most recently, I think for about the past 4 years, I've served as the Assistant Director of Budget and Performance. Prior to the county, I spent a number of years in the private sector and a few years in the nonprofit sector while I completed my master's in public administration.
Thank you for the introduction and sharing a little bit about your background. And the details in our packet is vast. So if you want to learn a lot about her background and her experience, there's a lot there to. So thank you again to the executive staff for coordinating that and putting it all in one place, and for you to sharing that, because I'm sure that took a little bit of time. I'm going to look to my colleagues to see if anyone has questions for Ms. DeMuth. Otherwise, I have a couple, but I always want to see if. No? Okay. Well, I have a question. Well, I will be short. I just wanted to know, you've done a really amazing job with the data portion of the work that you've been doing. And I'm just wondering now, as the director, how you envision continuing some of that data analytics and that work that we've come to really depend on as far as dashboarding around the criminal justice system, but even in budget and finance, some of the ways that you've interpreted data both publicly and to the council has been really valuable in decision making. And I'm just wondering now, with this new title, how you imagine trying to continue that, because I think it's just really valuable for our county.
Yeah, absolutely. We plan to continue focus in that area. It'll be a big priority of our department, not only within the department as we look at doing some process improvement across our various service deliveries, but also continuing to support countywide the use of data as it pertains to decision making. So we do have some planned improvements for the budget process this year that we'll be going through to develop the 26-27 biennial budget. We will be continuing to expand Open Pierce County and the data made available there, continuing to partner with Human Services around many of the dashboards that they make available to the public, and building out additional dashboards for the different priority areas of both the council and the executive. So it'll continue to be a big focus. I think it's a foundation of what we do within the finance department, and it's support that I'll be looking to continue to build across the county.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? Anything else that you want us to know before we open this up for a public hearing? There's a lot of information in the packet, everybody. Okay, well, I am going to open this up for a public hearing. If anyone would like to address the committee on R 2025-130, please come to the podium. There's no member of the public in chambers, so we will go online.
Yes, Madam Chair. For any members of the public who wish to provide comments on proposal number R 2025-130, press the raise hand icon on Zoom or star 9 on your telephone keypad. And there are no hands, Madam Chair.
Seeing no hands, we'll bring this back before the committee. Any further comments from my colleagues? Councilmember, it says Kruger, but I see Morell in the room.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate the opportunity to come into rules and make comment. My question is, Ms. DeMuth, obviously most of us know you very well. You've always conducted yourself in a professional manner. How would you handle a challenge where your ethics are? You have in front of you a conflict. How would you handle that conflict?
You address it with the same level of professionalism that I think I bring to the job each day. My ethics are very important to me. As the leader of the finance department, we play a very strong regulatory and compliance role, so I take very seriously our responsibilities within the finance department. If a conflict were to arise, I think that's where we can rely on data to help guide the conversation and guide insights and decision making. I would intend to uphold the interests of the county primarily and the interests of the finance department.
Just one follow-up. A lot of the structure that the county has is based on state constitution. When you look at can we or can we not use funding for certain purposes, what will you reflect back on?
It's a good question. It's a matrix of information, right? We have to follow the state constitution. That also intersects with our county charter, as well as our county code, as well as our administrative guidelines. So when we're looking at the policies that we write and we hold within the finance department, as well as across the county, we're kind of looking at all those intersection points. Ultimately, we have to adhere to the state constitution, and that'll be our ultimate guiding point. But then we also have to ensure that we're following the county charter and all of our local guidelines and rules as well.
Okay. And just one more. You obviously know the history of Pierce County and some of the challenges we've had with unethical individuals in office or within the county. So, there is definitely moving forward. We want to protect the transparency and integrity of this county to make sure we don't start going down roads that we don't want to go down. And I would assume, based on what I know of you, you would call something like that out. And, there again, you never know until you're presented with it. But I imagine in the 12 years you've been on the county, 4 years as deputy, you've had issues that you've had to say, I can't agree with that, even if it comes down from the exec or the council, and you feel confident that you could stand your ground and say, I won't be influenced. This is the way I interpreted it, and you have your guidelines. Not putting words into your mouth, but
Yes, no, absolutely. We follow the law within finance, and we have very clear guidelines, both federal, state, and locally, of what we can and cannot do. So in terms of dealing with conflicts, we have to approach it with the letter of the law, provide the best guidance that we can. I feel fortunate. I think we have very competent and able people within our elected offices that we can work with, right? So I'm not too worried about being pushed beyond my ethical boundaries, but if that ever occurred, I would have no problem holding the line on what I felt was appropriate.
okay. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for the questions. Committee Member Ayala.
Thank you, Chair. First and foremost, I want to say thank you. I know everyone here has had a lot more experience working with you than I have. Our work together has intersected in the audit committee, and so I just want to say that has been extremely pleasant, and the input and participation that you have on that committee and the intersection is something that always leaves me something to think about. That being said, I also wanted to highlight something from your resume around nationally recognized data through NACO. So I think whenever we can surface data, dashboards, and very palpable ways of understanding what may sometimes be a more complex process an issue that does a lot for the work that we do with the public. So big thank you for that. And also, I think it makes working with the public so much better for me. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. There are no other comments, so I'll look to my colleagues for a motion. Vice Chair Herrera.
Thank you, Chair. I move proposal number R2025-130 to be forwarded to the full council with a due pass recommendation.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we forward R 2025-130 to the full council with a due pass recommendation. Any further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, Ms. DeMuth. We'll see you, I believe, next week. Ms. Long, is there any other business before the committee? Okay. For those that might be tuned into our Monday study session, we are going to take we're going to adjourn, but we're going to come back for a study session at 11:05. So not a very long break, everybody. We have back-to-back meetings today. So 11:05, so we can just move things up here.
Okay.
We are adjourned. Thank you.